Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mike Field.
Hello, I'm Mike Butler.
And welcome to Forgotten Cinema Now Showing. Each episode, we highlight a brand new release. We'll discuss what we love about the movie or perhaps don't love about it, but we don't take our word for it. Go see the movie for yourself. And today, we saw a sequel, right, Butler? What's going on?
We did see a sequel. You know, what's going on is I thought that, oh man, do I want to take this from? Yeah, you know what? I thought I died to protect my apparently illegitimate son from the machinations of the Senate and the evil emperor and to free my beautiful Rome. And it turns out it was all for naught because my illegitimate son was sent off to Africa without a parent and was on the run for years. And he just ended up getting kidnapped, sold as a slave, became a gladiator, had the same plot line as me, basically. Meanwhile, Denzel Washington's out there with two other crazy emperors plotting to take over Rome just to destroy it. It's almost like everything I did in my first movie was pointless, except for killing the guy that murdered my wife and kids, which I guess is the main point of the first movie. So it's not that pointless. But anyway, we saw Gladiator 2.
I'm looking at the poster for Gladiator 2, and it looks like Lucius or Paul Mescal he's holding two swords, but it looks like he's on crutches.
Where he's down on the ground.
Yeah. I was like, why is he on crutches? I also don't like this poster. It's a big head poster. It's a masked big head poster. And I don't like big head posters. They're just so not creative. Anyways, we saw Gladiator 2. And we both, if you're in the Patreon or if you have caught the lead up episode, because I know we released the lead up episodes, for the Patreons earlier, and then we put them live for the public. We covered Gladiator, and we both love Gladiator. We both we didn't. It wasn't a love fest. It's
not a perfect movie, but it's a
right
enjoyable watch.
Enjoyed it quite a bit. So, and I think at the end of that that lead up episode, we kind of took like 5 or 10 minutes and just wondered what this film would be and what, would it be? Would we like it?
Right.
So we do the now showing is a little different. We're not I don't go through the facts or anything like that. I mean, we've got numbers. We've got stuff in front of us, and we've got, hopefully some facts that we can talk about, but it's more just basically our reactions to the movie. And I just want to caution everyone as they're listening to this. It's not, these are like our initial reactions. We watched the movie last night. These reactions could change through time. We might watch it again and change and shift. So these are just kind of like fresh in our mind. And honestly, a lot of times we kind of just are pondering out loud, if we like something or if we don't like something or why something happened. So this episode, these now showings are very different from the other, the main show and the lead ups and whatnot, because we're not really breaking down too much. We're just trying to like figure it out, kind of. That makes sense.
Right.
Like
kind of like our main show. The now showings are also more discussions than they are film reviews, which is why I think that the opinions can change.
I know that technically we do movie reviews, but I don't ever really think of them like that. I think of it's just like our personal reflections and how the movie affected us in what way, and we're never right. We're not wrong. We're not right, and no one else is right or wrong. It's just we're just talking films.
Wait. What? But I'm right.
Yeah. For the sake of entertainment value, yes, we do get animated for stupid reasons, but you are quite wrong. Often your takes are terrible. So, anyways, let's get into this. I guess let's kick it off. Where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about first?
Let's start with what we were talking about at the end of our lead up, which is like what we were expecting, what we were afraid of for this movie. Like, I remember us being kind of confused and a little like, how are they going to do it in terms of like Lucius's character? The fact that they're bringing Lucius back, or as he's called in the movie as well. I had it.
Hondo.
His name, Acacius.
No, General Acacius is Pedro Pascal's character.
Oh, that's right. I don't know what the hell his character's name was.
It was like Hana or something. It was something with an H. But what's funny is that they call him that, but in the credits, he's listed as Lucius.
Just
but
Lucius,
for the entire movie, you're calling him something else. So yeah, it's something with an H. It's Hana. Who cares? It's Lucius. They call him something else. I mean, we didn't even going into this film. We didn't find out it was Lucius until I told you, right? And it's because we didn't really know. And then I read it and it was spoiled a little bit.
Yeah, I saw it on the IMDb page and I was like, Lucius, but that's the same name as the kid from what?
Right. So, I mean, you find this out later in the movie in Gladiator 2, but if you remember at the end of Gladiator, when they carry off Maximus, you see Lucius kind of hanging in the back, which I always made a comment because it's like he goes to pick up Maximus, who will help me carry him? And he goes to pick him up and then he's just pushed to the back. But in this movie, they kind of have an added scene where
Lucilla,
his wife Lucilla, pulls him aside and basically tells him, you have to go hide because you are the next in line and there are going to be people that are going to want to kill you. I need to figure this out. Go run and hide. And that's kind of where this movie kind of goes from, because he just continues to go run and hide, Lucius, and he ends up in Africa, Northern Africa, I'm assuming. And then, that's where we find him, where he's older now. He's got a wife, and Rome is coming to General Acacius, and Rome is coming to conquer him, like as Rome likes to do. And so that's kind of like where his story kicks off. But yeah, it's very similar to the first film, but the only difference is he's not a general, he's not a leader. He does give a speech in the beginning that he kind of repeats at the end, but that's the only, but other than that, there are a lot of similarities between his path and the path of Maximus in the first film.
Like father, like son.
I just, but let's talk about character. Let's talk about plot. Actually, let's go into the plot then, since that's what I'm talking about. Does it make sense that his story follows Maximus's story to you, or do you think that's just kind of like an easy thing to do for them?
I think it's kind of an easy thing to do, but it doesn't super follow Maximus's story, because it does kind of gives you Maximus's story up to a point, because then it gives you the Maximus story we talk about in our lead up. When we talked about Gladiator, Maximus has the army of his own army assembled that are loyal to him, that he is pretty sure can take Rome. And depose the emperor and give it back to the Senate the way it's supposed to be. And he never gets to see his plan realized, which I always talk about, or we talk about how that's dumb. He had thousands of soldiers ready to die for him. The fact that he gets killed makes him a martyr. So they should be even more ready to die for him, and follow his order. And this movie kind of gives you that, which is something I like about this movie, is that it doesn't just follow, okay, he's a gladiator right now. The gladiator thing is done. This is like, all right, now the army is coming. Now the stakes are higher. Now the stakes are not just about what's in the Colosseum, but the stake is Rome. And I feel like that's kind of just a tease in Gladiator, whereas in this one, you actually get it. And I don't remember exactly what your original question was, where I was going with that. But I like, that it follows the same story. So I like that it kind of starts that way and then kind of breaks down the wall and goes a little further than that. And it plays with some tropes from the first Gladiator, like Denzel Washington's character is no Proximo. Obviously they're not buddy. There's a lot more plotting. So there's parts about that I like, but also parts of that plot that take it away from Gladiator, make it way too not too confusing, but way too all over the place. And I think it loses some focus.
The plot, or not the plot, the design by Macrinus, Denzel's character, to basically what ends up trying to become emperor of Rome, by manipulating the Senate, by manipulating the emperors. It doesn't really, that's not how, when we meet him, that's not his first plan. That plan hatches throughout the movie.
Right.
I think
it expands. I think his original plan is just become a senator.
Right. And then he decides that, oh, wait a minute, I have a line to the throne. Right. But that kind of patchwork plan of his, I think feels patchwork when I'm watching it. It feels like there's a lot of moving pieces, and I like Denzel as Macronus. I think I said to you that I think he's going to get nominated just because it's Denzel. It's a fun part. It's Gladiator 2. I can definitely see him getting a supporting actor nod. Not necessarily winning, but just getting it. But if he doesn't, he doesn't. But I don't know. I could just it's kind of one of those films where I can just see it happening. Because Macronus talks and he pops in, he pops out, and like Denzel's having like a fun time, and he's saying things that are. He gets to a point where he says something, he reveals something, and then he leaves the scene. Mm-hmm. You know, he says one thing and then he's out of there. He doesn't stay long to kind of like conspire. He's talking to his drinking buddy about how he suspects that Lucius is who he is that he is Lucius, and he's kind of like trying to figure that out, like how old he would be. So yes, he's figured that out, but I never have a scene where Macronus kind of plots, you know, like, right. You know what I mean? And where he, you get that with Acacius and Lucilla when they call the senators that are loyal to them and loyal to Marcus Aurelius, that, you know, this is what we're going to do on the 5th day of the games. I'm going to march the army in there and I'm going to stop the emperor's going to arrest them, stuff like that. Like we get that plan. We never get that stated plan from Macronus. And I kind of wish I want to see that just to give Macronus more of a deviousness or more of a conniving of what he's thinking. Like, cause even when he brings the head of Emperor Geta in there and he puts it down, I'm still kind of lost, like what's happening. So I'm like missing on what he's saying sometimes. So I don't know how you thought if you wanted a little bit more from Macronus. Maybe I'm just kind of off base here.
Well, I kind of got Macronus as I did. No matter what he was doing, no matter what position of seat or power he was in, it was to destroy Rome. Like whatever seat of power he was in, he just wanted Rome gone. Yeah, screw Rome. It's time for it to go away, kind of a thing. But my biggest thing that I wanted to bring up was that I think the main problem with this movie is that it wants to be Lucius's story. It wants to follow the one gladiator, but I think this movie is an ensemble and would work better if it were an ensemble where no one person is the main character. So we get more Macronus, we get a little bit less Lucius, because honestly, his story is kind of, he doesn't really go anywhere with his story half the time. Just follow them. Acacius is in there, but we don't know much about Acacius. Like he's just there. He's just there for Lucius to be angry at for half the movie and then suddenly disappear. But he's an interesting character. He's much more Maximus than Lucius is. But you'd get more Macronus if you did that, and you'd get more of an ensemble type movie, which is, I think this is trying to be, but it's, I feel like, too bogged down on trying to be Gladiator 2 instead of just like telling a story that's part of that world, but it goes beyond. Like they're afraid to leave the Colosseum enough to make it an ensemble. And I think that's the biggest detriment to the movie.
I because it's Gladiator 2, I think if it's an ensemble piece, I think people will expect some sort of like the connections that we get to Gladiator, not just because Maximus and we find out that Lucius is his son, which is just weird because in the first movie that's never even hinted at. And it's never even questioned. And that's fine that he is. But in this one, it's almost like he's your father. Okay. Like it's not right. Like it's not a big reveal. It's not a big like, oh my God, really? Oh, like, so it's just like, yeah, all right. Everyone just accepts that he's Maximus's kid.
I mean, that might be like, I always figured that could be something that was more like an open rumor, which is kind of what the human version of hedonism pot with what's his face was talking about.
But if that's an open rumor, then you would think that Lucius would have heard that rumor. The fact that he hasn't heard that rumor.
I mean, he was 10 and then he left and he hasn't still maybe he doesn't remember everything.
Word travels. He knows what's going on in Rome. He's got to. I mean, he's not oblivious to that. Where he was and where he was located. Mm-hmm. So if this was to be an ensemble piece, I think it might still be a better movie, but I don't know if it would do well because it's technically not a Gladiator that they expect. They expect the same kind of stuff you saw in the first film. So I think that, but I agree with you. But also, if it's an ensemble piece, there's got to be a lot more. There almost has to be less action, less gore, and more dialogue heavy scenes, intrigue, behind the scenes stuff, backstabbing stuff, like that kind of stuff, like the showroom. Like it has to be like that. And I don't know if you're going to get that with this film. I mean, I mean, aside from the two emperors, Gaeta and Caracalla, you don't get the level of insight into those two characters like you got with Commodus, which is Joaquin Phoenix's character in the first one. So you kind of don't know. You don't know really a whole heck of a lot about them. You only thing you know of Caracalla, and that is only because Gaeta says it. The disease that is in his loins is go to his head. It's like, I didn't know that in the first hour and a half to 2 hours of the film, and then you just drop that. And I wouldn't know that if I didn't know what syphilis was and what he's talking about. If I don't know about syphilis, if I'm a younger person that doesn't understand what he has, I'm lost there with that with that line. But like I didn't realize that Caracalla was slowly going insane because of that, and that I think would have been better information earlier in the film. To me, it was just like, okay, these two are just kind of drunk with power. They don't care. They're just kind of, they just want riches in Rome. They just want to be successful and whatever, and have fun and do whatever they want. I didn't realize that he was stricken with a disease.
Oh, I kind of got that.
How did you get that in the beginning of the film?
Well, not that they tell you, but if you know Roman history, know that a lot of emperors did have that. And that's one of the things that they think Caligula had, or that he had some kind of disease or early onset Alzheimer's, which is why he was crazy. But I didn't get that. Gaeta was Gaeta, right? Or Gaeta?
Yeah, Joseph Quinn. Whatever, Gaeta, whatever. Yeah, Joseph Quinn's character.
I didn't get that he was insane though. I kind of, I didn't say that he was insane, or even mad with power until like the end where he's like, "I'm a god," because he's kind of Commodus angry. Like I got that he was almost like suspected something of Lucius right away, which I didn't expect when you first meet him, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Something's up with this guy." But then he goes off with his brother and just calms his brother down, and his brother kind of flies off the handle, and then he's got to be like, "All right."
And the whole thing with the monkey, when did you first see them? When did you first see the monkey?
I'm pretty sure during the party scene. He's got his servant boy has the monkey near his near his chair. They show it as a close up.
Okay. I don't remember that.
That service monkey is First Consul Dondus. You will not disrespect them.
But I just have to disagree with your point that going in, about Roman history. I shouldn't have to know about Roman history to watch a movie.
I didn't say you did. I just said that I kind of got it. But
yeah,
no,
that's not an excuse for not showing it. For not like revealing it.
I think worse than that is we have that 3-minute opening, right? That tells us what happened in Gladiator and the state of the world. It just tells us these two guys are emperors. How are they emperor? Why isn't Lucilla the one who was on the throne? Why is Lucius? They never explain why Lucius has to go, other than people want to kill him.
How do you not kill Lucilla? How do you not kill the heir to Marcus Aurelius?
Because Rome really likes her? I'm sorry, but she's the heir apparent then. She's got to be offed, because how are these two legit emperors? They don't explain that at all. I want to know why anybody would have originally thought 16 years ago. So these guys were clearly kids when they were put on the throne to begin with. How were they considered legit emperors? And they never explain their relation to Lucilla. They've got to be extended family or something, right?
Well, you got the whole thing, like that whole story about how that they were found in the woods and the wolves.
That's Romulus. That's Romulus.
Is that what that is? Oh, okay.
That's the story of how Rome was founded.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Listen. All right. You gave me some BS when I didn't know the person that was in Princess Diana's car, her boyfriend, he died. You got no history, Butler, no history. You don't know the story of Romulus and Remus?
What did I give you a problem with?
Princess Anne? Episodes ago, I didn't know who was in the car with Princess Diana when she died. Her boyfriend.
Produced by Jack Weiner, like I said before, and Dodi Fayed. If that name sounds familiar, Butler, who's Dodi Fayed? He has no idea.
I mean, the name does sound familiar.
No idea. He's in one of the most famous crashes in Europe He dies.
Oh, he was Princess Diana's boyfriend.
Thank you. Well, if you watched The Crown, they were breaking up. But yes.
I did not watch The Crown.
He was in that fateful.
They were breaking up? Oh my
supposedly.
God.
He was in that fateful crash that took the life of Princess Diana and also took his life as well. Well, you need to learn about your history. Come on. But he was also a producer. That's what
I did not know he was a producer.
He was before all that stuff. He was trying to make his way as a producer in California and Hollywood. Anyways,
yeah. Why don't you know history, Butler?
That's just like modern history.
That's because you watched The Crown, but you don't know the story of Romulus and Remus.
That's not because I watched
The Crown.
That's because I was alive when she died.
Yeah, and I was like 7. I know Princess Diana.
I'm sorry, I gotta go back and read Roman text like some douche.
I'm sorry. Oh, you didn't know history class? You didn't have to take that class?
No, I didn't have to go read about the whole entire Roman Empire. Please, because you did it in school. You probably did it at home. You're like, oh yeah, I love Roman Empire stuff. Yeah, oh, when men were men, building roads. That's how it was back then.
Tell me more, National Enquirer. Let me stream The Crown again.
It was a big story over the last 20-something years, dude, or 30 actually. 40? I don't even know when. 90, 30. Let's talk about the characters. Let's talk about the actors because I already know you have a problem with one of them. So go ahead.
Who do I have a problem with?
You know who you have a problem with.
Is it Paul Mescal?
Yeah.
He's all right.
Please elaborate.
I mean, he doesn't have the gravitas needed to kind of pull off the role. And I mean, you said something, I think before we watched the movie that other people were talking about, maybe that's why it's in my head, that maybe he just wasn't old enough yet. He doesn't have enough under his belt to take this on. Maybe. I think it's more, we talk about in Gladiator, that the dialogue is very Shakespearean. And I think even more so in this film than the first film. There's a lot of very like classical dialogue, and the way it's delivered is very classical. And it's something we talk about a lot. Actors need to go, like Jake Gyllenhaal went off and did Broadway on stage and came back a much better actor. And I think a movie like this, you need stage training. You need some Shakespeare under your belt in order to believably deliver these lines with the kind of power and gravitas needed, which is, I think, why everyone's talking about Denzel Washington in this movie, because he's got a ton of Shakespeare under his belt. He knows what he's doing. And I think Paul Mescal, his speeches that are supposed to rise you up and make you go, yeah, just kind of fall flat. Like, okay, cool. Like his rousing speech at the end just isn't very rousing.
Yeah, I think when you do Shakespeare, I think you can't do Shakespeare the right way. You can definitely perform it, but it doesn't work unless you feel it, unless you have to, it's one thing, like you have to learn the words, obviously, but then you have to learn like what's the emotion behind the words. Like it's not just enough to just know the words and recite them, because the words alone will just come off flat if you're performing them. You can tell you're acting. Like you really need to, with Shakespeare, you really need to feel what those words are, and then that emotion, you become that character, and then you become what you're saying, and that's where that comes from. I think what you're talking about in terms of having Shakespeare under your belt. So like when you that helps you in anything else you do, because it's not just reciting words. It's, why am I saying these words? I need to become this character and feel what I'm saying. And I think, and this isn't a knock on Mescal. It's just, I think you're right. I think he's young, and he's probably got to get some more stuff under his belt. And it's not really, it's not, you're going to say yes when you get offered this role on 100%. You're not going to say no. So, but I think it's kind of a disservice for the production to bring on somebody that new, and if you're not going to try to get him through that role, because he is completely fine in the role. He's doing a good job, but I can tell he's performing. Whereas when Russel Crowe is doing it, and it's unfortunate that we have to compare him to Russell Crowe, because Russell Crowe is a phenomenal actor, and it's obviously Gladiator 2 and Gladiator. That's a bit unfair, but Russell Crowe is not just performing it, he is feeling it. He is Maximus. And I just feel Paul Mescal is playing Lucius. He isn't Lucius. Does that make sense to you? The way I'm describing that? Yeah.
100%. The way, like, when they talk about Maximus in this movie and revere him, and they play his theme, it's like you are picturing Russell Crowe in your head. And it's like his shadow hangs heavy over this film. If they were to do a Gladiator 3, that shadow of Lucius, it just wouldn't hang heavy because he doesn't have that. He inspires the audience as much. Maximus inspires the audience as much as the people in this movie.
Yeah. And I don't know if Lucius gets a scene where like Maximus reveals himself in Gladiator, where he's like, father of a, that whole big speech he does, you know what I mean? Like that's a great speech. Lucius doesn't ever really get that. He gets that opening speech that he tells the people that they're fighting on the wall when the Romans are first coming. That's kind of mirrors what Maximus does in the beginning of Gladiator when they're about to fight the barbarians. But then Lucius does that same speech. He uses the same words at the end of the movie when he talks to the gladiators about how they're going to go out there and ambush everybody and stuff like that. It's the same speech. It's not, he doesn't really get that moment that Crowe and Maximus gets in the first film, which, you'd like to, he kind of, you know what? I take it back. He gets that at the end, but it feels very forced. Like the whole ending feels very forced. When
the two armies are there and he's shouting.
And then for some reason, Macrinus rides out there and then Lucius chases after him so they can just stop right there and fight.
Yeah.
Like it just feels very like let's get him to fight in between the two
warring factions.
Armies. Yeah,
it makes no sense for Macrinus to put himself in danger like that.
He and that's the thing. Like he's got these plans, and then a little hiccup, and then he just rides out there to do what? Like, does he not know Lucius is following him? Like, what's the plan once he gets out there? If Lucius isn't following him, what's Macrinus doing?
Still to get killed by the other army. I don't
know why. I don't understand why he goes out there. It doesn't make any sense. And it also doesn't make it. And what also doesn't, not that it doesn't make sense. I don't understand. Like, why kill Acacius? Like Pedro Pascal's character. I think it's more dramatic and it's more interesting for Lucius to forgive Acacius.
Yep. 100%.
And to learn to join his cause in stopping the emperors rather than just he doesn't want to kill him because he loves his mother, because whatever. And then he's just off in the 20 seconds later, which just means like, okay, Acacius is done. Why do we have this? Like, I just didn't like that.
Pedro Pascal's too busy doing 8 million different projects at once.
You gotta kill me off.
I agree. I think it's just them trying to get like some of that Game of Thrones shock in there. And I think that's just kind of become par for the course when you're doing historical things, is be like crib Game of Thrones. But I agree. I think having him make amends and join his cause, which was his father's cause, would make it more interesting. I think Acacius was an interesting character we didn't get enough of. And it's just kind of, let's just kill everything Lucius loves. Let's just really drag him down. Mm-hmm. And I get that's kind of Shakespearean as well, but also, okay. And also, did we have to kill Lucilla just to make him mad? He was already going to kill Macrinus. We already knew he was going to have to face Macrinus.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, the killing Lucilla was also a little weird because like you had that moment where he was like, I've lost so many people I don't want to lose. I just found you. I don't want to lose you. He says that to his mother. And then we lose her. It's like
but that's why it's almost more of an ensemble, because then if he's not the main and they're all the mains, then Macrinus is doing his plan, which was Lucilla's got to die so that the people of Rome revolt and help me destroy Rome faster. It's a win-win for me if she dies.
But Macrinus killing Lucilla doesn't achieve that. That's not what he wanted. He wanted the emperor to kill her.
Right.
So that the emperor,
now it's putting him in danger. I mean, it's still taking down Rome, but it's taking him out of power, which is not what he wanted. He wanted the power and the fall of Rome, which he's clearly not getting after that.
And they attribute this want for the fall of Rome because he was Marcus Aurelius's slave, and he has that reveal when he shows the mark to Lucilla. But she, and when they first meet, like an hour later earlier into the film, he says, "Oh, we met once," but he doesn't really reveal that he was a slave. He just says he worked for Marcus Aurelius. So like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, okay. And then, but now, now you're a slave and that's why I want to tear it all down. But it's like, that's something that's not a reveal to me. That should just be, I should just know that going in. Like I should not, I want to know. I think what I'm saying is that I want to know that Denzel's the villain right off the bat and that everything he's doing is evil and bad. Because there's some gray area with him in this movie because you think that he's and I think that's because of the first film with Proximo.
You
like
want to Proximo, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think just make him evil and make him, like somebody who is just pure, just, make him kill somebody in the first 20 minutes so I can see that. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a great scene when he takes the guy's house, when he in the betting, when he takes the center and he's like, I
right.
own your house. Like, I love that scene. Like, I want more of
loyalty,
that.
but I have your house.
Yeah. Like, I want that more. I want more of that macroness, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want him straight up evil. I like the fact that you don't really know that he's like, his plan is that like, holy crap. All right. That's villain. I like the more of the scheming kind of maybe Littlefinger-esqueness of him. Like the man in the background.
Littlefinger's
true.
Pure evil, I mean, like, pure out for himself.
The schemingness of him.
Sure.
So I'm okay more with that. I don't need to, and being out for himself is fine, but I don't need to know about his I'm going to take down Rome plan until the end. I'm okay with that.
No,
because
that's
I think
fine.
you should kind of root for him a little bit at first. I like that kind of slow realization of the man he truly is. Because I think Denzel does that awesome in this movie.
Well, I agree. And I can root for him if I know he's a bad guy, but if he's chewing the scenery, which he is, but if I know it with that added benefit of he's just not good, like nothing he says is truthful, then I think I can, and you still have that reveal like you talk about where he just wants to end Rome. Then I'm like, yeah, like I'm okay with that. I think there is some, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not clear for me right away. I don't get who he is right away in terms of macroness, like in the first like maybe hour. And there's that causes confusion for me whether to know, okay, am I on board with him? Like, what is he like? I have to still try to figure him out. And I'd rather just know that he's the black hat, the bad guy. Like, I'd rather just know that he's the guy behind the scenes so that I can still root for that just because Denzel will be like chewing the crap out of everything and it'll be great. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, and the way he portrays macroness, I think would just, if everything is the same how he is now, I think that added bonus or that benefit of knowing straight off the bat, like his plans are never for anybody else but for himself. Like in terms of just like the evilness, I think would just add into that even more. And I kind of would love it even more, but that's preference. So maybe that's just, I'm talking preference here and not really that wasn't the story told to me. So I know maybe I shouldn't stop complaining about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. If that's what you wanted.
No, I know that's probably more preference.
Did you think Connie Nielsen had a weird accent?
Oh no! You catch on the accents. You catch up on the accents. I don't catch on them. I thought she was fine.
It was really weird. Like it was like British by way of German in the movie. It was a little odd compared to the first movie. I don't believe so. I think she's just American.
Well, you remember? No. Whatever. What do you remember? Remember when we were talking about Gladiator in the lead up that we talked about how she knew a lot about the history and she was helping not the writers, but the production people about like what happened in Rome at that time. Right. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
That she like, so I'm wondering like how much she knew of this stuff. Like maybe she's a great person to talk with about the two emperors. You could find out, what she was born in Denmark, Butler.
Okay.
So I believe she's, I think that's probably where that's coming from. And I think Mescal's Irish, right? He's Irish. He's
Irish
from
or Scottish. That's why his accent pops out at the end of his.
He is Irish because I think I remember when they were on the red carpet and they asked him if he looked. I guess the prince was there, or no, the king with King Charles or Prince Charles. Somebody, one of them from the royalty from England was there, and he was like, "No, I'm good." Like, because he didn't, I think Irish, he is. He's from Ireland, yeah. So I think he's just like, yeah, that's great. No, I don't care. Yeah, like so.
I do think he's got a good look for the movie because I like his profile. He's got a very like Grecian like kind of nose, and I was like, oh, he's got the right look for it, even if maybe he didn't have quite the gravitas yet.
No, I think we're being probably nitpicky in terms of, or maybe, I mean, I'm not gonna, he's still. It's not like he can't do it. You know what I mean? It's not like he's,
right.
I think we're just probably it's probably completely unfair because Russel Crowe is so good that, but that's what happens. That's what you're just going to get compared, unfortunately.
True. Also, while you're acting opposite Denzel Washington.
Yeah. And you're the son of Maximus. So you're expecting Maximus. And like when Lucilla tells Lucius, like, he's like, you have the strength of your father. I'm just like, okay. I mean, you can tell me that all you want, but I don't believe it on screen. And that has nothing to do with the actor. That more has to do with just the scenes he's in and like what he's doing in the Gladiator pit and stuff like that. And when we first meet him, I don't think he's doing anything that seems Maximus-esque or super, above and beyond.
I think he's a better like brawler than Maximus, but like Maximus fought like a general. But I mean, I liked the fights. Yeah. I think the fight scenes in this movie were really good. Yep. They did a lot of like hand-to-hand stuff. They did a lot of stuff where they flipped each other over or fell, and every stunt guy fell on his neck. And I was just like, every single one. It was just like, oh man. I do think like that's another thing I think was really good in the movie is the look. Like no one shoots an epic like Ridley Scott shoots an epic. Like I know there's probably more screen craft in this movie than Gladiator, which clearly obviously Gladiator had none, but like green screen work and stuff like that. But I still think the sets that they did have were great. The costumes were great. Just like the look of the movie and putting you in Rome. I know that was one of your nitpicks in the first Gladiator. Did you think Rome was presented better in this movie than the first Gladiator?
I think the special effects, the CGI, is just improved where, it looks good. It looks well done. I mean, I remember the tiger scene in Gladiator. I mean, when we first watched it in 2000, you're like, yeah, oh my God, that's great. But like now you look back and go, oh my God, they're not there. But like, so, and then you kind of have that here with the rhino and the shark.
Yeah, the rhinos.
But they're done. I think they're done fine. I think they're done well.
Right.
Yeah, I think the effects are just improved. That's why I think it works well. I mean, maybe in 20 years I'll look back and go, no, God, they don't look as, but that's how it is. That's how, I mean, you're not going to be able to shoot in real Rome, obviously. So you got to do what you got to do.
What did you think of the river Styx stuff as opposed to the Elysian Fields? It felt kind of gimmicky to me. Like, we had the Elysian Fields in the last one. Let's do the river Styx in this one.
I don't think I hated it. I just wasn't moved by it. I just was like, okay, like she's moving on. You're not. Okay.
And the I'll wait for you line is so like thrown away. I'll wait for you. All right, bye.
So I wonder. So that leads me to ask you. So is Gladiator 3? Are they doing that? And is that with Lucius?
I don't know. There's an article I saw that's like Gladiator 3. Is it happening? It was on IGN, but I didn't look at it. I know Ridley Scott's got so many things on his plate he wants to do, and I know he's not exactly a spring chicken anymore. So, I mean, maybe it won't be him directing. I mean, he seems fine to give away his film franchises to other directors if they, as long as he's on there as a producer.
You're talking about like the Alien franchise?
Yeah. But like, do you really need to see a Gladiator? Because I'm kind of okay.
I didn't need to see Gladiator 2. I was okay not having the story carry on. So, I mean, I'll watch it, but I don't know, like, what are we doing in the fall of Rome? Like,
it's got to be the fall of Rome because he doesn't win. The Senate never comes back. It's emperors all the way to the end. So it's kind of, he's not. If Maximus didn't win in the first one, where it was like questionable if he would have put Lucius in power, at least the second one is definitely going to end on a downer because the Senate doesn't get back anything. So either Lucius ends up being a bad emperor, a bum emperor, or gets killed.
A bum emperor.
It's not going to work well for him. So I don't know.
when they had when they show the names of all the gladiators or something like that.
Oh, the Wall of Honor or whatever.
Why is Commodus on there?
He's right next to Maximus. I feel like the Roman whatever government made them take out Maximus's name because he killed the emperor and put the emperor's name. The emperor's a hero and tried to kind of rewrite the story.
So
that's what I got from it.
So them carrying him out at the end means nothing. Like it's just everything. But they buried him down there and they put all his stuff down there in honor of him. But they crossed off his name because to dishonor him.
To have them, yeah. His tomb is down there, so no one sees his tomb. But they don't want people to be inspired by Maximus because he's a rabble rouser.
Jesus. Yeah. Okay.
Can't have that, man.
God forbid.
That's what I didn't get about the doctor. It's like he came after Maximus, but he tells a story about how, someone told me that it's not about fighting. And I'm like, oh, Maximus. And he's like, yeah, I started after Maximus, but it's like, well, then what was your story for? I thought Maximus taught you not to fight.
The doctor feels so, it feels such like a trope, so cliche. Like he's got the leather scarf that's got all the elixirs on there, and like he's the heel, and like he just feels like so made up, and he feels so like I've seen this character in dozens of other films, and he just shows up over past the halfway point, and I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to like this guy now? I'm supposed to oh yeah, he's like at least the Hanzu, the Jimon Hanzu character from Gladiator was there throughout the entire time.
Right, he's there as soon as he becomes a gladiator.
There in the beginning, and he's his true friend. This guy just shows up, fixes his hand, and now they're friends. And that whole scene felt out of place. The whole scene where he was rowing when they were training, like that scene. Yeah, that scene felt like it should have come before he fought in the ring, before he fought in the first time, rather than after. He's already worked and led these people. He's already helped them defeat one round or whatever it is, and they just they don't help him out. They turn around. They don't get his back. That feels very out of place in terms of they shot this out of order and they just put it there.
Well, not only is that out of place, but he mocks them. We're going to win with this. It's like, I thought you're like the captain or the commander. Like you're not. Yeah, I agree. I think it's just there so then he can have the argument with, like you said, budget Bob Hoskins. And
I said Bob Hoskins' son.
Bob Hoskins' son. And it's just like he's just there so he can have somebody who you love when and I do love it when he smacks the wood sword into his neck. That's a cool scene. But that rowing scene feels there just to introduce the doctor and have him hate this gladiator coach or slave driver, whoever he is.
What was his name again? Vigo. Was it Vigo from
the Carpathian?
Yes, I think so.
Now it begins. Yes, he actually survives his neck wound and goes off to become a leader of Carpathian.
The after credit scene in Gladiator 2 is when he's getting his painting done with his long hair, and he's
I'll get you, Lucius.
No, even better. Like he's not killed. He wakes up and he meanders out of Rome, but he falls in this vat of pink goo, and he just discovers that, and then that's how it starts. And then you hear the Ghostbusters music kick in.
I did not see this go that way.
All right, so I do we like this film? Do you like this film?
Going out of it, I can't remember what it was that we said, but you were like, I said something. We were joking about Wicked or something. You'd be like, I'd rather seen Wicked, and then you're like, I don't know, and then you left, and I was kind of like, do I not like it either? And I was like, pondering it, and then the more I think about it, I've been thinking about it all day because obviously we have to do the podcast. I think Gladiator is one of my favorite movies. I love Gladiator despite its flaws. This movie, I'm not going to say that about this movie, but I think I still like it because it still presented me with an epic, like an ancient epic type movie, which you don't get a lot of anymore, and you probably won't for a long time. Denzel Washington's really good. It's long and it feels a little long. I think it's like it's got a lot of issues, but I still enjoyed it. So yeah, I think I not reluctantly, but I trepidatiously like this movie. But I definitely want to see it one more time. Maybe when it comes out, I want to see if I still like it. 3 months from now.
Yeah, I suspect that I won't like this. My opinion won't improve after seeing it again. It may, but I think I'm going to just kind of see the
flaws a bit more.
Yeah, more. And there's more things that I'm going to like. Cause I think I said to you at one point, I felt like it meanders. I feel like we just don't know what we're doing here. And I feel like, I need to experience that again to be like, yeah, I'm not really a fan of this. So I have a feeling it's not going to improve, and I'll probably watch it again. It's fine. Every time somebody go, it's fine. It's got some good action, check it out. It's nice seeing an IMAX, but I wasn't blown away. I didn't see anything new other than Macronus and Denzel Washington's performance, which was really great. I don't think the Emperors were given enough to do. We've talked about Lucius ad nauseum, so I won't go into that again. I just don't think like Lucilla's in there. Like there's just not enough for a lot of people to do in this film. And Denzel really just has a lot of those moments where he gets to, be that wild card that Macronus is. Yeah. Yeah. So I think the Macronus character is just a juicier role out of all of them. I just don't think because I don't think there's a lot for anyone else to do. So I think that kind of like adds to it. So no, I don't think my opinion will improve, but I could be wrong. If I watched it again, I could like turn around and be like, hey dude, I like it. Just like I told you about Dead Reckoning.
So, yeah. I still don't believe that.
Whatever. I didn't say whatever. I'm not going to get into that, but anyway. So yeah. So
I'll rewatch it before the new one comes out.
No, you won't. I think though, I will say this. I think you can wait for video for this. I don't think you need to see it in IMAX. It's nice in IMAX. I don't know if I care that if I missed it and I watched it at home, I don't think I'd be broken up about it.
I really liked it in IMAX. Obviously doesn't have that many
everything
explosions.
In IMAX.
I prefer everything in IMAX, but if you have to boil it down to like what movies deserve to be in IMAX, this is one of them. I'm not one. You can put Marvel movies in IMAX all you want now, but I no longer care about watching CG people fly through the air in IMAX. I want the grand scope and the cinematography and the scope and like the explosions. Yes, the explosions, the sound are great. I think this was worthy of IMAX. I'm not saying it's top tier, but it's no Tron. But it's good.
Tron Legacy.
But yeah, I think it's good. Would you recommend this though? Like it's out on via video. Would you recommend it?
What's funny is
kind of go.
So I told somebody at work about. I'm like, oh, Gladiator 2 is that like, oh, do I need to see the first one? I go, yes, you need to see the first one. You should. And they watched the first one. And so today I come in, I go, oh, I saw Gladiator 2. Like, oh man, I watched 30 minutes of Gladiator and I turned it off. It was awful. And I go, don't watch Gladiator 2. I'm like, how far did you get? 30 minutes. I go, no. How far in the movie did you get? Like, well, he's like in the woods and he's fighting those guys. I go, you didn't even get to the part when like he becomes the gladiator. And he's like, oh, you think I should keep watching? And I go, I don't know, man. I don't know if you're gonna like it. And then at that point I was like, why can't there be a cinephile at work? Why can't there be somebody at work that we can speak the same movie language? But so to answer your question, I think I would only recommend it to people that watched Gladiator that like us and liked Gladiator. And I would just say, yes, you should watch it because it's a continuation of that Gladiator story. But I cannot, what's the word I'm looking for?
Good conscience.
Not good conscience. I cannot vouch for this film being, meeting that expectation of what you liked in Gladiator. So I wouldn't be able to be like, yeah, see it. It's a continuation, but like, that's all I got for you. I can't really give you but maybe I would say like, if you like Denzel, then he's really good in it. So if you always appreciate Denzel, you should watch that stuff. So then maybe that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, there's really not much else we can talk about here.
Yeah. the music, I was a little disappointed in the score. There's a couple moments where the Hans Zimmer score rises up and I'm like, oh yeah. But I felt most of the score was kind of forgetful.
I don't know. I like the opening music. I thought that was pretty cool. And it was getting into the action, and I think it led into the ships coming and that whole first battle scene. So I dug that, but a memorable score, maybe not so much. I may have to hear it again. Maybe I probably couldn't pick it out of a lineup. So I guess that's pretty accurate.
It was pointed out because we pointed out how good the score was in the last one. So,
well, it is. It's very good. It's you hear it all the time now. I mean, there's a lot of cinematic moments from the first film that we kind of see over the last 20 years. I don't know if you're going to get that from this film in terms of like moments that are going to live on in cinema history. Probably not.
No.
Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, Mike, I guess that's pretty much all we got to say. This is kind of a terrible way to end it, but Mike, why don't you let everyone know where they can find us?
You can find us at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or wherever you're watching or listening to your podcast right now. While you're doing that, please rate, like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think of Gladiator 2. What did you think of Gladiator 1? What's your favorite historical epic film? Let us know in the comments below. We've covered a few of them on the show. We've done over 250 episodes, so check those out. If you want to support our show, we have a Patreon, we have exclusive episodes, all that jazz. Yeah, we come out with a new regular episode every Wednesday about forgotten films that we think deserve another look. That's all I got.
Yeah. Hey, and we'll take recommendations for now showings. Just a heads up, we try to do one a month, but I mean, if you got one that you really want us to check out, we will. So let us know next month. Next month we're doing a scary one. I'm going to be really scared in this one. So I might have to watch this like this. We're going to watch Nosferatu. The remake again. I don't know how many Nosferatus there have been. Our Patreons out there, we are doing a lead up episode of Shadow of the Vampire for that. So the one that stars Willem Dafoe, obviously he's in Nosferatu as well. So if you'll be getting that Patreons and then our patrons, and then obviously that'll go live later on at some point. So now showing this December is Nosferatu, and I think tentatively for January we're doing. I don't even know the name of the movie. We're doing Cameron Diaz, Jamie Foxx film on Netflix. Right now, the name is escaping me. So, we got a couple lined up. But again, we will happily take requests if there's a movie you want us to cover. Even if you want us to do a lead up series, just hit us up and let us know. We want to do movies that you guys are interested in. So, I mean, we don't have all the right answers, so we're happy to do other things. Thanks for listening to this. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your week. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema, now showing. We'll see you at the movies. Oh, that's awesome. I should always do that. Oh, wait, somebody else does that.
Strength and honor.
No, come on. No. Do you want me to do it again so you can say strength and honor and I won't say you see you at the movies?
No, that's fine.
Okay.